was a life-changing experience. I was going to do it for a couple of months. I ended up staying for 7 years because I got such incredible satisfaction. I never knew how to use needle nose pliers. I didn't know how to drill holes in the floor. I didn't know, you know, you open those telephone closets with all the wires going like crazy, and it looks like it would take a genius to do that. It is simple. It's just color-coded. Red follows red, yellow follows yellow. It was so simple. I loved walking around with my tool belt. I just loved working outside, and this is something, had I been young and someone had said to me, what are the jobs that you want to be? I never would have said a telephone installer, because women were not telephone installers. And I realized my family, boys and girls can do everything. I had not learned any of this. And it took the government and affirmative action. I am proud to say I'm an affirmative action. I was an affirmative action Howard to break that and to introduce me into this world that I never would have been introduced to. So from that I realized when I look back over my life, my whole interest in this issue of inequality and segregation, how we get socialized to do certain things, how we get socialized to believe we cannot do certain things, that it does not even exist in our imagination or in our heads. And so I fell into this. After doing the telephone installer for 7 years, I did decide to go back to education and got my doctorate in education, and always I was grappling with this issue about how we get segregated and how inequality gets produced. So I was looking at the field of computer science. You all know computer science is totally changing our world. It's the driver of innovation across everything. But when you look at the numbers of who are majoring in computer science, it's very few women. And I did for 4 years at Carnegie Mellon looking at that question of gender and computer science. And then I luckily moved to Los Angeles and got a grant from the National Science Foundation to look at why so few African American Latinos and females are learning computer science at the high school level. And my work, if just a little bit of statistics, in Mississippi that has 37% African Americans, not one single African American took the AP computer science exam, and no females. In California, that has 50% Latino, only 49 Latinas took the AP computer science exam, and 8 African Americans in the entire state of California, females. And the numbers of African Americans and Latinas and females taking AP computer science is so dismal that we wanted to look at what was going on. So we did 3 years of research in different schools and saw that the issue of access that people have been talking about, that there was incredible disparities in learning opportunities that fall along race and socioeconomic lines. In schools with the higher number of African Americans and Latino students, what was called computer science was keyboarding, low level, the basic rudimentary skills, and it's no exaggeration. It was typing classes. But in the schools that were more in white, wealthy areas, it was computer science, which was the critical thinking, the problem solving that was being taught. And this is how you become a creator and innovative with computer science instead of just a consumer. But in the school that we studied that was in a white, wealthy area, 2/3 of the students were students of color from 101 different zip codes that came to that school, and yet the AP computer science class had 1 female and only white and Asian males. So even in that school with 2/3 kids of color, where there was the full range of computer science, because it was in a very wealthy school, the computer science learning opportunities were segregated. So we looked at all the different interlocking forces. Structural inequalities, the classes, the teachers, the educational policies, that at this point there's a big time and computer science is not considered part of the core, so it's hard to get it scheduled into the schools, and biased belief systems. I want to talk about biased belief systems, but I want to get my water. Okay. Computer science epitomizes what happens across all STEM fields. Biased belief systems. In computer science, there's an association that it's usually white and Asian males, and they do it young. They're boy geniuses. And the images of CS boy wonder icons that we see, talk about role models that you all were talking about. This is in our face all the time. Advertisements, television, film, newspaper, everything. These are the images that we see. And this is who we associate can do computer science. And in the schools, we heard teachers talking about, you can just tell a student who is born to do it, who has the natural and innate talent. So there's the belief that it's natural, it's innate, and it's associated usually with boys, white and Asian boys. And the false attribution, and this is a really important slide. The false attribution is that the others are just not interested or capable. And we heard that from educators and even from some principals who then justified why they weren't going to offer higher level computer science in the schools because they said our students are just not interested or capable. So these belief systems affect access, and it affects what opportunities are given before students. These belief systems are really critical. But instead of who is born to do it and innate talents, what we have found is, one more slide, is that what happens is that in the schools, spaces become claimed and also segregated. So this is a picture of the Palo Alto Technology Club, which was all males. And because there's this process in the schools, people assume there's certain kids that are born to do it who have the innate talent, and then the spaces of computer science learning became claimed, and it becomes uncomfortable to go into that space if you do not look like them, if you do not hang with them, if you are not part of them. And so this is this whole process of claiming spaces in schools that needs to be interrupted. What we found is that really what happens is that there is what we call preparatory privilege, is that in computer science that there are kids, when you look at the Bill Gates, when you look at all the boy wonder icons and you go through their bios, you will see getting a computer to be able to tinker and take apart at age 6. You will see private tutors. You will see computer camps that they go to that cost a lot of money. You will see private schools. You will see all of this preparatory resources that were given to them and encouraged in them that in the world of computer science really has determined a lot of who goes on to study this field. And that it, rather than being innate, it is this privilege that goes along with the field. So we were really decided that we were not going to just have research be on a shelf, book on the shelf, but we were going to do something about it. We've started this program to democratize computer science, to bring it into all the schools, to all the kids, with a special focus on kids that have been marginalized, called Exploring Computer Science, in which we have a very rigorous curriculum. Kids are learning this high-level thinking and it's in 30 schools in LA. That teachers and the pedagogy are key to forming a learning community, talking about equity and inquiry, and having the teachers understand how spaces get segregated in the schools, that it's not innate, that it's a question of having access and tinkering and having time on. It's a CTE course, and it's a college preparatory course. We have our statistics are 45% girls, 75% Latino. The the numbers reflect the population of the district.